Hi guys, and welcome to my YouTube channel Outside the Box. In this series of videos I'm going to be building the 1/72 scale English electric Lightning. The sort of model that you'll find in any hobby store, toy store, on Amazon, maybe even in supermarkets, that are dubbed as a starter kit. Okay, it comes with glue and paint and brushes, and really for those that are just starting out, marketed as a kit for getting children and people into the hobby. So maybe you've got one of these things for Christmas or for your birthday, and either like me, you've come back after many years and you think, actually, do you know what, I'm going to build this thing and see what I can do. Or maybe you're just still at school and you're not quite sure how to make it, and your parents really aren't much use, and so these videos are really aimed at you guys that are just starting out and just need a little bit of advice. In part one of this series, we're going to look at what's inside the box. So let's get going. So, in the box we get a set of instructions, classic Airfix instructions, some decals, whatever you want to call them, some transfers, Airfix club leaflet. Okay, let's look at the plastic. So they come bagged together in one bag. You have your what you call your clear parts in a separate bag to keep them from getting scratched. So we have the cockpit parts here and some of the lights, and then we have what we call the sprues. Okay, and on the sprues you have your different parts. So here you have your fuselage half, some of your internal parts, your pilot. This is part of your wings, which comes in two sections, so you need to glue those together. Okay, another wings, and you have your cockpit tub, part of your ejection seat, and then you have your other side of the fuselage and some of the internal parts of the engine. That's what you get inside the box. And obviously what you also get is the paints, a glue, which is the old style glue, which I just don't use anymore because it's just an absolute mess, and you get some brushes, which is quite handy. We'll go into a bit more detail about the equipment that you're going to need as we start building. Let's have a quick look at the instructions. Now, being a man and being the type of person I am, I tend to make the biggest mistake by building models without looking at the instruction, and I always miss something out. So it's always a good idea to have a good look through the instructions to see what you're going to need to do. So we start off by building the ejection seat and putting the cockpit together, putting in the pilot and so on, and then we make a start on this front section of the air intakes. We put all that together, and then we attach the cockpit to the top of that. Then we have a look at the afterburners and the rear section of the tailpipes of the Lightning. A very classic design. It's a beautiful aircraft. I might have to go all out and buy a bigger version of this and do a proper version, because it is a beautiful aeroplane. And then once we've done these two parts, we'll bring the two together. It's really important that you look at these little, just where it's asking you to drill things out, where you've got a question mark, you might want to think about whether you want it in. So just have a careful look through the instructions before you really get to town and actually take anything off the sprue. So here we put the bottom section in, we put the wings together. You decide where you want the flaps. Put your wings on, put your tail fins on. This is really helpful to get to make sure that you get these lined up, so it's a 90-degree angle. And then we come on to the smaller parts. So we put on some of the parts, some of the hatches, part of the bit more of the cockpit, and we decide whether we're going to have the wheels up or we're going to have the wheels down. Now, that's personal preference. I tend to like these days to build my aircraft wheels up. I like to build a base for them and build a stand. If you have a look at my Facebook channel and you look at some of my models, you'll see some of the things that I've created. There are some instances where I build wheels down if I want to do a maintenance diorama or something, but this one I'm going to build wheels up and put it into some sort of flight display, and then we put on we've got last bits of the weapons that go on and your cockpit and so on. Now, although the instructions, you know, they're numbered and they go from place to place, it's also really important that you don't have to stick to the numbers as long as you don't miss anything out. Okay, I tend to you know, while parts are drying, I might go on and have a look at something else and build another part before. So I might build the weapons while I'm waiting for the wings or something to dry, but I always attach them at the end. Okay, so these are the sort of things that we attach when it's completely finished, same as the landing gear and so on. And so you don't want to always stick to the, you know, the suggested run through, but where possible you need to make sure you don't miss anything out and don't start anything without, you know, I've done this in the past where I've done one part and I realised that it really wouldn't fit once I'd done it because I should have done something else first. And so be careful that you always study the instructions really, really carefully. Okay, so that's the ramblings over about the instructions. Let's just talk a little bit about the sprues. So sprues, you know, if you've never built one of these before, what is a sprue? Well, this is a sprue, so it's injection molded. The plastic is injected in and this is what comes out at the ends, and so it's pushed out of the mold, and you can see these are ejection pin marks where the machine pushes it out of the mold. And it comes out on this plastic sprue, and this is classic Airfix plastic sprue. The plastic itself is not the best quality, but it's good enough. And so you get different parts on different sprues, and so when you're looking at your instructions, for example, so when you're looking, this is part B11, you want to be looking for sprue B. So sprue B, that's sprue A. There's sprue D, and here we have sprue B. So sprue B11 is this part here. Okay, and so we just in a moment I'll show how we cut all those bits off, but that's the sprues basically. You need to be careful, certainly with some of these little parts, about how you get the parts off. Making sure that you don't actually cut off anything you need, which I've done many a time, even after many years of putting these things together. My plan is we'll put this back in the box. I'm going to go and have a cup of tea, and then let's have a go at building this thing, and I'll show you how to put it together as per the instructions. So for this build, I'm going to build it exactly the way it is from the box. I'm going to do it step by step, following the instructions, which it must be a first for me actually, and then we'll see what we get. This could be a disaster, but hey ho, if anybody can learn from this, and I'm sure I will learn myself, and so on. So see you in a while.